Before there were slashers, before zombies ruled the box office, there were the originals, the icons, the legends, the universal monsters. They terrorised generations, and for almost over a century, their names have never been forgotten. However, Epic Universe are about to launch a new wave, and we are going to go back to the very origins, back to the 1930s, when the likes of Frankenstein, Dracula and the Invisible Man were so well known, so popular. And we're here at Epic Universe in Orlando for a soft preview, for the best of a want of phrase. We are staying at the Endless Summer Resort, so we do have special entry into the Epic Universe. And today we're going to delve into the Universal Monsters. Universal's newest park, Epic Universe, comprises of 5 themed lands, and this officially opens to the public on the 22nd of May 2025. These lands comprise of Super Nintendo World, Dark Universe, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Ministry of Magic, How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk, and finally Celestial Park. But it is within the Dark Universe which interests us the most for today's video. In the early 1930s, Universal Pictures took a gamble. In an era still reeling from the Great Depression, they brought fear and fantasy to the silver screen, and audiences loved it. A new genre was born, the Golden Age of Horror. It all began with Dracula in 1931. Bela Lugosi, with his thick Hungarian accent, piercing gaze and aristocratic manner, he became the face of the vampire for generations to come. But success came with a cost, and Lugosi would be forever typecast as the creature of the night. Now that same year, another legend was born, Frankenstein. Boris Karloff, buried under layers of Jack Pierce's revolutionary makeup, delivered a performance filled with both menace and heartbreaking vulnerability. Karloff didn't just play the monster, he humanised it.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Karloff returned as the Mummy in 1932, another tragic figure, an ancient priest awakened after thousands of years, seeking lost love across time.
You'll know, you'll see, you'll feel the awful, creeping, crawling terror.
Next came The Invisible Man in 1933. Claude Rains, mostly unseen, gave a chilling performance through his voice alone. The film's special effects were groundbreaking, and Rains would become a Hollywood staple.
And now you'll suffer for it. You're crazy to know who I am, aren't you? All right, I'll show you. There's a souvenir for you. And one for you. I'll show you who I am and what I am. Look, he's all eaten away. Huh? How do you like that, eh? Go away. Go away.
I'm trying to.
Now here at the Dark Universe, at the Epic Universe in Orlando, you do have Monsters Unchained, and when leading up to that ride, you do cross a graveyard. And this graveyard has the statue of a young girl called Maria. And for those who know the Frankenstein movie from 1931, you will know what I'm referring to when I show you this statue.
Will you play with me? I can make a boat.
Now, for those who possibly don't know the reference to Maria, well, Maria was a little girl in the 1931 movie Frankenstein, and she befriends Frankenstein's monster, and they're seen throwing daisies into this lake, this big lake. Now, Frankenstein, who is innocent at this point, he doesn't know the context of what is going on, and he just copies Maria by throwing these daisies into this lake. When he runs out of daisies, the monster throws Maria into the water and she sadly drowns. This is the innocence behind Frankenstein's monster, in that he doesn't know the consequences of his actions. But that statue further back, that is a little nod to that 1931 movie. Now also here in Dark Universe is Monsters Unchained, one of the most anticipated attractions that I and Vicky have been waiting to go on. It is a 75-minute wait at the moment, but we are going to wait it out, we are going to get on it, and we'll give you our honest reaction as soon as we get off it. At some point we will have to stop filming because videoing and photography isn't allowed in certain parts of this attraction. But we're going to go on it now, and we'll see you guys shortly.
What he had done. But you will see. There is nothing to fear. Show them.
At once, Doctor.
Lower the lights, quickly. Now. These people are friends. See? There's nothing to be afraid of. He is amazing. Better than the original. He is the key to our most exciting experiment. For years, I have studied and controlled the monsters that prowl the darkness, and only one remains.
So we're back off the Monsters Unchained attraction, and this absolutely, hands down, has to be one of the best attractions that I personally have been on at any theme park. It knocks Disney completely out of the ballpark, and behind me is the Curse of the Werewolf. That's another story for another day. But yeah, the Monsters Unchained attraction, absolutely phenomenal. A bit of a delay, it was a 75-minute wait, but the attraction did go down at one point, maybe twice. Yeah, the queue in itself, it went down at least once, if not twice. So it took about, I'd say about an hour and 35, an hour and 40, 27. But wow, what an attraction that is. It tells the full story of Frankenstein's monster itself and how it was created. And then you're battling Dracula, you've got the creature from the Black Lagoon, you've got the Wolfman, you've got the Mummy. It's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And like I said, hands down beats anything at the moment that Disney can offer.
Hello? Hello? Is there anybody out there hiding in the dark? Hello?
James Whale would return to direct The Bride of Frankenstein, a rare sequel that not only lived up to the original but surpassed it. Elsie Lanchester's brief yet unforgettable portrayal of the bride gave the monster a would-be companion who recoiled in horror. Then came The Wolfman in 1941. Lon Chaney Jr., the son of silent horror legend Lon Chaney, brought tragedy and humanity to the cursed Larry Talbot. Unlike his monstrous predecessors, the Wolfman was a victim, and audiences felt his pain. In 1954, Universal added one last member to the monster family, the Gillman. Creature from the Black Lagoon wowed audiences with his underwater cinematography and eerie atmosphere. Ricardo Browning's graceful underwater movements gave the creature a strange, haunting beauty.
So one of the old pop culture and the influences that Universal Monsters has had on the public and on media and on artists. Well, you've got the likes of Rob Zombie, who is highly influenced with his music, with his films, on the monsters that Universal have created.
A lifelong horror fan, Rob Zombie built an entire musical identity around the aesthetics of classic horror. His music, packed with references to old school monster movies, B-horror and grindhouse cinema, feels like a direct tribute to the Universal legacy, dirty, theatrical and absolutely unapologetic. His breakout band, White Zombie, even took its name from the 1932 Bela Lugosi film, the first feature-length zombie movie ever made. And in his solo career, songs like Living Dead Girl and Dragula pay clear homage to Universal's creatures, with lyrics and visuals steeped in vintage terror. But it wasn't just Rob Zombie. Universal's monsters have influenced countless artists across genres, from Alice Cooper's shock rock theatrics to Iron Maiden's monster mascots to punk bands like the Misfits, who built an entire brand on horror iconography. These films didn't just shape cinema, they gave music a visual language of rebellion, darkness and spectacle. In a way, the Universal monsters were the original rock stars, larger than life, iconic and unforgettable.
Now here at Universal Studios, we've now come away from Epic Universe, but here at Universal Studios, I always feel it's kind of the home of the movies. This is the first park I came to back in 1993 with Vicky on our very first vacation together. But it's here where the house from Psycho 4 once stood. There was also the motel rooms which were used, I think they were used mainly for the external shots, I could be wrong. But I did take some photos at the time, which I placed into a scrapbook. Now, if I can find those photographs, I will place them over as I am talking now. But it is here I do have a bit of a fondness for Universal Studios. And it isn't just the Universal monsters that are important in this video. Universal, you see, have a history of creating some big movies, horror movies at that. Some will argue and say they're not exactly horror, but we're going to go through a few of them now. But they brought out, obviously, they were the people behind the Jaws franchise. Again, to some it won't be classed as a horror movie, but to many others it is. The fear of the ocean, the fear of sharks. Then you had, obviously, the Psycho movies. Obviously they were horror films, and they're mine and Vicky's personal favourites. When it comes to the horror genre, Psycho 1, Psycho 2 especially, we do not believe there's any better horror movies out there. Comment down below, tell us your thoughts. What are your favourite horror films? But they were also behind, Universal are also behind the likes of Chucky, massive franchise. It's come out with numerous movies, as well as TV spin-off show. But there's also obviously films such as Ghostbusters, and I am rocking the Ghostbusters t-shirt as I speak. You've also got Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. Again, some people may say, well, they're not exactly horror. I do agree, they're more like comedy horrors. But still, some people will find something in their movies to be scared of. But you also had other movies. Some will argue and say Back to the Future. It's dark in some places, and especially more so when we look at the photograph of Marty McFly disappearing from the photograph itself, because he's changed time. He's gone back in time and he's changed history. Okay, it's not scary, but some people may argue, say, oh, it wasn't my cup of tea, you know, I don't like things like that. But some may argue and say, yeah, it kind of does have some scary elements. Tell us your thoughts down below. But Universal Studios, this is the place myself and Vicky came to, like I said, back in '93. I personally have a fondness for it. I absolutely love this park. The attractions at the moment are phenomenal, and especially more so at the new park, which opens on May the 22nd this year, 2025, and that is obviously Epic Universe. But for those who may be thinking of going, I would recommend visiting the Dark Universe and visiting the Frankenstein attraction, if not for anything else, because that is a phenomenal attraction. It's here in the horror makeup show where you can see some props and more information on the Universal monsters. So such as Frankenstein here. Lon Chaney Sr. Jack Pierce. So here you've got the Wolfman, followed by the creature from the Black Lagoon. But my personal favourite is here, and it's Alfred Hitchcock and Scenes from Psycho. And who can forget the monsters? 1964 to 1966. You've even got the likes of The Thing, famous sci-fi horror. You've got Hellboy, and let's not forget Rick Baker, the man behind the famous An American Werewolf in London. He was the man behind the special effects. Again, one of my favourite films along with Psycho. And then American Werewolf in London came out in 1981. We've actually had the pleasure of meeting two of the main actors at the Rotherham HorrorCon over the years.
By the 1960s, the world had changed, and so had horror. Gothic castles and supernatural creatures of the Universal monsters gave way to something far more intimate and far more unsettling. Enter Alfred Hitchcock. With Psycho in 1960, he didn't just shock audiences, he redefined horror. There were no monsters in mass, no ancient curses, just a lonely motel, a strange young man, and a scream that echoed through cinema history. Psycho proved that horror didn't need fangs or fur, it needed vulnerability. And just 3 years later, the birds turned nature itself into a force of terror. Hitchcock's collaboration with Universal introduced a new kind of fear, psychological, unpredictable, and deeply human.
I don't know how I feel about that. think we're okay.
What type of monster is that?
It looks like some kind of creature.
What kind of
From the Black Lagoon.
Oh, creature from the Black Lagoon.
Well,
It's
how'd
an
you know
old
that?
movie. It's on a shirt.
Yeah,
Whoa.
they told us.
He's a movie star?
That's very good at spotting clues.
Nice to meet you.
It doesn't appear to be moving, so I think we might be okay to pass through.
It's just a statue. See, it says, please.
They can't see you if it doesn't move.
Well, it says,
I learned
"Don't
that
sit
from
on the table."
Jurassic Park.
There is nothing behind this.
Pardon us.
So that is the beauty of Universal and the theme park, the attractions themselves. You can be in one of the gift shops, filming a vlog, covering a completely different story, and then you get the characters coming out. So obviously we've seen the characters from the Scooby-Doo cartoon show, and even Doc Brown walked out, which you wouldn't have seen on camera. He's just actually opposite me now, and he's waving at everybody. I'll turn you guys around. So Doc Brown is just over there now. Obviously making his way to the Back to the Future DeLorean on the train. Oh, and he's even talking to Betty Boop. But this is what I mean, guys, about obviously Universal itself. They do put a lot of effort, a lot of time into everything they do. So it's not just the Universal monsters. When you come to Universal Studios, there's all kinds of fun attractions and people to see. Now, one of the things myself and Vicky pride ourselves in, we can watch a lot of horror films, can't we? And we very rarely get scared, if ever.
We want the ultimate horror.
We want what, sorry?
The ultimate horror.
We want the ultimate horror, correct. But one of the things that do frighten us, to some extent, are things like this. Now, you would have to pay me serious amounts of money to go on this attraction. Because not only does it go up vertically, it does a loop-the-loop.
And it even sounds like it's honking out.
And as Vicky says, it actually sounds like it is slowing down and stopping before it reaches the top. So you would have to pay me an extraordinary amount of money just to go on this thing. So when people ask me and Vicky what scares us the most, I would say things like a roller coaster such as this. Not horror movies, not what's in the darkness, but things like this. That's right.
From the gothic shadows of the primal dread of Jaws, the awe and chaos of Jurassic Park, to the ghostly comedy of Ghostbusters, Universal has continued to evolve the genre, reinventing what scares us, what thrills us, and what stays with us. These films, old and new, aren't just about monsters or mayhem, they're about the fears we share, the questions we ask, the stories we keep telling. So monsters may change, but the legacy, it never dies. Universal helped build horror as a genre, they helped shape the blockbuster, they even gave sound to our nightmares, fueling the music of rebels and outsiders who saw beauty in the dark. Universal didn't just make monster movies, they created a mythology, a blueprint for fear, art and imagination that still echoes through cinema, music and pop culture today.